Freestyle Travel. Hey everybody, KenFlannery here as always, your host of the Freestyle Travel Show. I am still in South America, up in Cusco, Peru at the moment. Probably the only traveler in Cusco not going to Machu Picchu. It's one of the reasons people come here. It's like a little staging area, if you will, but decent little town on its own. But I'll get to all that. Last episode I was at the very bottom of South America, literally. I actually recorded it as far south as I could kind of go via the main road. I guess technically I could have gotten on a ferry and gone to some other town, but yeah, I was at the end of the road on that last one in Argentina. Pretty cool spot, and I have since, made it up here to Peru via several other countries. So that's what I'm going to talk about here. Hitchhiking on up, along with some buses here and there, some more hostels, finally couch surfing with someone via trust routes. Just kind of getting on by here in South America, burning up money a little bit, but it happens. And yeah, been a pretty good time. So been posting some stuff on Instagram and YouTube, just little short videos, 30 seconds to a couple minutes kind of thing. So if you're not on there already, it's a hobo lifestyle on both Instagram and YouTube. So you can check that out. And yeah, kind of see some of the stuff that I'm about to be talking about. And yeah, there's also the Patreon that I have, patreon.com/KenFlannery. If you want more updates and you want to support my travels, you can jump on there too. And yeah, basically toss me a beer once a month and you'll get access to that little micro podcast where I'm updating you throughout the days as to what I'm up to. So yeah, let me jump into it. Been bumped into someone I met in the last episode. Yeah, so it's been pretty good. So let me just jump right into the road north in South America. All right, so after recording that last episode in Ushuaia, or actually a little further south than there, I camped out in the little national park down there for a night, and then I got moving the next day, eager to get up to Buenos Aires, which is pretty goddamn far, thousands of kilometers anyways, and no one had really told me about anything that interesting on the way along that coast of southern South America, southern Argentina. So the idea was just get on up there. Let's see how many rides it takes. I knew there was going to be some stretches of nothingness, which usually means a combination of not too much traffic, but when someone picks you up, they're going a long ways. And that's kind of exactly what was going to happen. So getting out of Ushuaia took a little bit of time. Had to walk through the city and hitch some short rides, just kind of moving along. Finally got up and out of there. Some nice people. Wound up in this town, I think called Rio Grande. Yeah, Rio Grande I wound up. Super fucking windy when I got dropped off, and wasn't looking good as far as, it was getting dark when I got there, and it wasn't looking good to find a campsite. Just not a lot of trees or anything like that. So I was just walking, hoping something would happen. Sure enough, I just saw like a bush, one of those giant bushes that I remember playing in as a kid, that it's actually hollow inside. Maybe you know the kind of bush that I'm talking about. So I found one of those. So that was actually pretty cool. Crawled up inside there, and I was hidden from both the wind and from sight. So pretty perfect spot. Camped there for the night. Got to moving in the morning, and got some trucker rides and things like that. Got a ride first from a couple. Got over the border with them. You have to cross the border into Chile, and then back into Argentina again. So I got over the first border with them, and eventually made it onto the next border. Crossed there and got up to Rio Gallegos. I was with this truck driver. When I crossed the border, he actually dropped me off before the border just so it would be less complication for both of us. So that kind of worked out. I kind of hopped out, and then I was done before him, and he picked me up again, kind of thing. And yeah, he took me up to this Rio Gallegos city. Got to the edge of that, and that's when I got the big ride. I think I finally just posted that on YouTube today. Just a short 2-minute video of me in the truck with this guy explaining what was happening. So you can jump on YouTube, Hobo Lifestyle, if you want to see that. But yeah, he picked me up, and he said he was going within like 600 kilometers of Buenos Aires, which sounds like it's still a long ways, but yeah, I rode with that guy for over a day. So we drove and drove and drove, and we actually stopped, and he got his dinner, which was pretty cool. And then he's like, you can sleep in the back. So I slept in the back where he normally sleeps. It's not like trucks in the US or even in Europe. It's a little bit smaller, but there's, that's the area where he slept. So I slept there for a few hours, and finally he stopped, and he slept just across the front 2 seats, and then kept going and going and going. Finally got way up north. It was like total desert vibes as we were going. There's a bunch of guanaco, which kind of look like alpaca or llama, that kind of thing, through the desert. We actually saw a puma, and if I understood him correctly, it's the first time he's ever seen a puma as well, just running away from the highway in the middle of nowhere. So that was kind of cool to see. Never seen one of those before. I guess it's pretty rare if he's never seen one, especially driving all the time. So that was kind of cool, seeing a puma. Yeah, then finally he dropped me off way, way, way north, and just kind of kept inching my way. Little rides, trying to get closer to Buenos Aires, getting around some big city in the process, camping out again. Some other guy picked me up, and then he got me like a big old burger or something like that. That was cool. He dropped me off, and then he found me again like 20 minutes later walking on the road, and showed up with like some crackers and water and stuff. And yeah, kind of hooked me up there. Camped in the woods again, and then finally the next day I got a couple short rides, but then a ride from a guy going straight into Buenos Aires. And yeah, as I said in the last episode, it's been tricky finding couch surfing-ish hosts. And I always say couch surfing just because it's a generic word, but that's actually the one site I don't use, couchsurfing.com. I use trustroots.org, I use bewelcome.org, and I use Couchers, which I think is also .org. Yeah, but between all those apps, I've been striking out. Sure enough, there was a girl in Buenos Aires, and she was super cool, but she's like, yeah, my boyfriend's been out of town for a couple weeks, and he's coming into town, so we kind of need our time, so she couldn't host me. But we were texting back and forth the whole time I was in Buenos Aires, and she was just giving me tips and ideas of shit to do. I was probably in Buenos Aires for 3 nights, something like that. Finally, on the last night, she was able to hang out, which was cool. And then I met her boyfriend too. Like, went and grabbed a beer. The beer scene in Buenos Aires is probably the best in South America that I've seen so far. And I've been thorough in my searching. So that was really cool. I went to like one brewery that was like really good. And then I went to a beer store that turned out to also be like a bar kind of. They had a couple beers on tap, and you could just, grab whatever can or bottle that I otherwise would have gotten to go. And yeah, just drink it right there. And the owner was just like super nice and just giving me free beers because he was just kind of stoked that I was from the US and into beer. So that was pretty cool. And anyways, yeah, so I finally met up with her at this other brewery that she liked, and we had a beer or two, and then her boyfriend showed up. It turned out he was from Portland, so fuck yeah, he knows his beer too. Hung out with them until like midnight or something, then fucking booked yet another hostel. I stayed in a different hostel every night in Buenos Aires, just holding out hope that maybe she'd be able to host me or something else. I didn't want to commit, but yeah, no dice. But stayed in one more that night, and the truck driver who I spent all that time with had given me his Metro card, whatever you want to call it. It's like an Argentina card that works in all the major cities, so I was using that to kind of get around. And I was going to use it to get out of the city to hitchhike towards Uruguay. But it turns out like the train I was trying to get, or bus or whatever, that particular line was shut down, so I spent a good part of the day just walking through the city, finally getting some bus, kind of to one edge of the city, walking some more, hitching some short, stupid, like 10-minute ride or something. Camping out way on the outskirts of Buenos Aires. It's a big, sprawling city, you know. But the next day I made it into Uruguay. It was a big day of rides. 6, 7, 8, 9 rides. I forget how many. Once again, you can always get on the Patreon and hear these stories when they're fresher in my head if you want to hear the play-by-play and different rides I got and stuff. But yeah, eventually I didn't quite make it into Uruguay that day. I fucking lied. See, I got really close. And then this couple picked me up from Buenos Aires, I think, and they were going to a winery. When they picked me up, I was sure they were going to the border. That's how close I was. I was like, wow, they can't be going anywhere else, but they were. They were turning down one road and going to a winery because they were kind of on a trip, little road trip of their own. There's some sort of like carnival thing going on in that city. But anyways, they're like, do you want to go get some wine? It's like free tasting. So I'm like, obviously, you guys are cool. So I went and did like a wine tasting with them and walking through the grapes and shit with them. And by the time we were done, they kind of asked if I want to like camp with them and do this thing, but I didn't have any cash. So I couldn't afford the campsite, which was cash based. And I was like, I'm just ready to get to Uruguay, I guess. So they dropped me off yet another night stealth camping in some trees by a river, otherwise farmland. And yeah, next day a lot of walking, but then I crossed the border into Uruguay, and I'm pretty sure that I left Argentina without getting stamped out. I'm almost certain of it because I got this ride from this kooky old man. Didn't speak any English or anything, and his Spanish was fine, but I just couldn't really understand him, I guess. Anyways, a lot of borders, as I found, and I'll get to later in this story, are just like kind of a joke. So that one we just drove right through. We did get stamped into Uruguay, so maybe that'll be a problem if I go to Argentina again in the next 4 years before my passport expires. I don't know how that works. But anyways, didn't stamp out of there, stamped into Uruguay. Rode with him for quite a while. I thought he might be going all the way to Montevideo, which is the big city in Uruguay. All cows on the side of the road, kind of same scenery going through there. But pretty. And yeah, like 100 kilometers before, he was pulling into some other city, so I had to hitch a few more rides, 3 or 4 more rides to get into Montevideo. So yeah, a little entry into Uruguay. The city seemed okay. Dirty in some parts, like alright in others, kind of like a lot of cities. So I wandered on through, checked it out, obviously found a little Wi-Fi, tried to figure out what I was going to do for the night, because yet again, striking out on the couch surfing thing. I was at least happy in Buenos Aires I got to meet that girl and her boyfriend, at least some conversation and stuff. But yeah, no dice again in Montevideo, same thing, there's this older woman, maybe 60, 70 or something, and she had people in town, but once again, at least it was someone on WhatsApp. We were texting back and forth. I've stayed in that city for 2 or 3 days or more. And yeah, I stayed at a hostel, but yeah, once again, I had this like couch surfing. I think she was via Be Welcome host, at least telling me stuff to do. So I was just kind of doing some of the shit she was telling me. Some like sandwich called a chivatas or something like that, which is just a bunch of meats and cheese and stuff. And yeah, just taking her advice on stuff like that. Found the good beer on my own. It's expensive there in Uruguay if you ever go. It's probably the most expensive country I've been to in the last couple of months here in South America. I got like a $15 cheeseburger, for example, which is fucking crazy. But it was top 5 cheeseburger of my life, which is saying something. I've had a lot of good burgers in my life, and this one was top 5. It was fucking awesome. It was from a place called Rudy's, and there may be like 2 or 3 of these Rudy's in the city. Super good. So if you're ever in Montevideo, Uruguay, look for Rudy's if you want to burn a little bit of money but have a fucking epic cheeseburger. So at least that was good. There's some dude in the hostel. I came in late-ish one night and he was in the kitchen, and he was from Dallas, and he'd been staying in the hostel for 10 months, which was wild. I think he had gone through a divorce or something and come down to Uruguay, liked it, and just hadn't been leaving, just liking it. And hitting up Tinder and just, I mean, this is what he said anyways, just fucking all the girls that he possibly could. Any girls that came in the hostel he would take a shot at. Like, this guy was just fucking going for it. He asked me if I liked mushrooms, and he had a big pile, and thought he was offering them to me, and I'm like, I do, but kind of good right now just because it was late in the night. And he's like, oh, I'm not offering, just asking. He just slammed this giant handful of mushrooms. I talked to him for a little bit longer. I'm like, I'm gonna let you do your thing, man. He's like, yeah, I gotta do my thing. I'm like, all right, dude. Have a good trip. So that was Montevideo. Yeah, and then just kind of made my way through Uruguay. Hitchhiking pretty easy in Uruguay. Went through some other little small towns, just kind of like getting rides from people, and if they were going into a town, I would kind of check it out. There's like some little surfer town kind of thing. Checking it out, making my way to Brazil, which I decided to do because it's an $80 visa. If you're from the US, you got to do this $80 visa, but it's good for 10 years. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm here, might as well do that. Burn up a little more cash, you know. Between the hostel, I'm just not used to staying in hostels, and that little expense has been taxing, you know. These hostels have been anywhere from $4 to $20 over the last couple months, but it's possible that I've spent more time in hostels in the last 2 months than I have in the last like 20 years. It's close. It's close. I don't know. That might be an exaggeration, but it's close. Anyways, yeah, that money's been adding up. So $80, add that to the pile, or take it from the pile, rather. But yeah, yet another weird border. So I got dropped off like in the town by the border. I could have just, there's a town that's like in between the borders, and it's both in Uruguay and Brazil. Chewy or something like that it's called. And so many people just go there to shop that they don't check passports, really. So I had to like kind of go out of my way to go into an office and be like, hey, I kind of need to get stamped out of Uruguay here. So they did that. And then it was like a 1 hour walk through this city that a lot of people just go to shop in. But also it's like a small city. People live there. Finally got to Brazil. And once again, I had to like bug this guy who was just on his phone. Like, hey, you think you can stamp me into Brazil here? Showed him my visa that he didn't give a shit about. Like, fucking annoying. Like, I pay $80 for nothing? I don't know. So he kind of looked at it and was whatever, stamped it. And then, then I got one of the better rides from the trip as far as like meeting someone cool. I just like hung out hitchhiking there on the other side of the border, now officially in Brazil, and got a ride from a pilot, an agricultural pilot. That was super fucking cool. So he was cool to talk to. We were talking via Google Translate a little bit, broken English, broken Spanish. Then he was asking me, it was, you know, sunset, asked me where I was going to sleep, told him I was going to camp, and he's like, I got a better idea. So he took me to this little, farm area where him and his fellow pilots and other stuff, he basically goes there, I don't know, a few times a week or however often he does need to. And there's, not like barracks, but there's just like housing for these guys that come there several times a month, but don't live there. And yeah, he first showed me his plane. There's like a hangar with a few of these agricultural planes on there. I think I posted a picture of that on Instagram. So yeah, that's what he does. He just flies over crops and dumps in, sprays, whatever. It's got to be spraying on that particular day. So he showed me that. I met some of his pilot buddies, and then they set me up with my own little room and bed and shower, which is fucking awesome. Filled me full of food, kicked it in the morning a little bit. He gave me a ride to the main road, and then kept it moving. In Brazil, I got up to Porto Alegre that day, just kind of the first biggish city in Brazil. I got there a little bit later. Once again, got a fucking hostel. Wasn't hearing from anybody. But who I did hear from is my buddy Sean, one of my best friends from growing up, and my last roommate in New York, him and his brother Mark. And he was at a wedding in Brazil with another dude who used to be my roommate, who I just haven't really been in touch with. And he's like, yeah, I asked him if you can make it up here, you can come to the wedding. But then I looked, and it was so fucking far away. It was like no possible way I was going to get there in 2 days hitchhiking. It was like, I don't know, 36 or 40 something hours driving, and I'm like, hitchhiking, there's no fucking way. I'm like, I wish I'd known about this like a week earlier. I would have spent a day or two less in Buenos Aires, a day or two less in Montevideo, and like raced on up there. But yeah, sometimes communication is what it is. So, but I was like, that's cool. That's cool that my buddy's like in the same country that I am at the same time, even though Brazil is fucking massive. So yeah, instead just stayed in the hostel. Most beautiful girl I think I've seen in the last few months was working there at the hostel. It's like, it's kind of like shocking, just tired, getting off the road in the dark. But yeah, it's like, that's cool. So I hung out with her a little bit, talked to some people in there, and then in the morning, it's like, all right, I'm gonna keep it moving. Someone told me about this like little German-ish town, so I'm like, I'm gonna try to get up there. Which I did. I walked around the city first and then made my way to this little Germanish town, but it was like full-on Disney World, Myrtle Beach, fucking Pigeon Forge vibes. Just super glazed over touristy. Like, there might as well have been like mini golf and shit there. I stopped in some brewery that was not the best, but it was okay. And then, yeah, there's kind of like sister towns. I forget the name of them now, but let's see, I can kind of look at the map and see, maybe. But yeah, just like full on, like there was like an NBA thing I was kind of intrigued about. I was like, what is this? But just like, yeah, otherwise a lot of Gramado. That was the name of the town. Gramado and Canela. And Canela in particular had like all this like, I don't know, like they might as well have had like the medieval place where you go in and get the big chicken thing and like some like magic carpet themed restaurant. I don't know, just like over the top, like full on universally touristy shit. I was like, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So I just walked through that city and eventually camped on the edge of it, and had a long day hitchhiking the next day. Everyone had told me to go to Florianopolis, which is on the coast, so made my way there. Long day of hitchhiking, getting another layer of sunburn on the way. But some decent people, and then a really cool guy at the end who like went out of his way to get me over the bridge into the city already at dark, and once again, fucking hostile. Pretty good beer night though. Talked to some people at the hostel, and then went to some little beer shop. There was like a cool dude there. He pointed me to a few other places, so just popped around to some different breweries. And yeah, just met a bunch of interesting people at each of those breweries. I mean, that's half the reason I go to the breweries, is not just for delicious beer, but I like the kind of people that I meet at breweries. They're usually pretty cool, pretty talkative. So yeah, I was just talking to a bunch of people, and in the morning taking some of their advice, going around the city, going to the market there in Florianopolis. I got this big bowl of acai, yogurt kind of stuff. No, I guess it was just blended acai with like granola and honey in it and stuff, but I guess that's the thing down there, so people told me. So checked it out, pretty refreshing. Pretty good. And yeah, then I finally got the one and only actual couch surfing experience of my whole time in South America, and it will be the only one. There will not be another until I come back here, but I'll get to that too. Up in Curitiba, a city a little north, good bit north of Florianopolis, and I was about to go not in that direction. I was going to head towards Paraguay, which I was still going to do, but I could have either gone like west and north. And in this case, I got the message way last minute, right before I was out of Wi-Fi, that he's like, yeah, because I'd messaged him like a week earlier and he just hadn't gotten it. But then he was like, that day, he's like, yeah, whenever you're here, drop on in. So I was like, oh, fuck it. So Florianopolis, where I was kind of like on an island, super congested city. So I was like, all right, let me see if I can get some kind of bus just like out of here. And the bus going all the way to Curitiba was just like a few bucks more than a bus that was going to get me like 5 or 10 miles. So I'm like, well, fuck it. I could be there in the night. Let's do it. So hopped on that bus, and by night jumped out, made my way to this dude's apartment. Augusto was his name. Popped on up there, met him. I was like, finally, fucking like couch surfing experience. So we were shooting the shit for about 30-40 minutes, and he's like, you want to take a walk? I'm like, fuck yeah. So then we spent like the whole night just cruising around. Took me to some live music spots, having beers on the streets. Eventually ran into his buddy. It's open container in Brazil, which is always nice. Always appreciate that in a place. So you can just like grab a beer at the corner store and walk around, and all the bars were kind of like spilling out of the bars, and a lot of times the music was like on the sidewalk. So just enjoying that. Eventually he went back to his apartment, and he's like, if you want to keep hanging out, totally cool. You can come back whenever. And I was like, hanging out with his friends. So I'm like, yeah, I guess we're going to keep on kicking it. So I just kicked it with his friend for another hour or two, just some more drinks. I'm like, I know he said come back whenever, but I'm like, I should probably get back there before, because he had like a doorman and stuff. It was kind of like clunky getting into his apartment. So I'm like, I should probably get back before too late. So did that, and then we ended up, just in the apartment, staying up for another like hour or two, having another couple beers or so, and shooting the shit before finally passing out, probably like 4 or 5 in the morning. And honestly, it was just a breath of fresh air, just to finally fucking stay with someone local and cruise around, do a bunch of stuff I might not have done. Like, I probably wouldn't have known to seek out that particular neighborhood where the music was going on and all that shit, and just having the context of walking around with him. Fucking good. Yeah, wish I'd been getting that the whole time. So, yeah, pretty good vibes, and ended up spending a few days, 3 or 4 days in that city, just hanging out with him a little bit. He was working. Mostly it was that one big first night. Otherwise, I was walking around on my own a little bit, checking stuff out. A few different parks in that city and that kind of thing. Just enjoying it, knowing that I was going to head to Paraguay next, and yeah, that's what I did. Finally got out of that city and started hitchhiking towards Paraguay. And here's the thing. So where Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay all meet, there's this Iguazu Falls, which I've heard was this like giant waterfall and pretty cool. I knew it was going to cost like 20 or 30 bucks, and I was kind of on the fence because money's been getting tight, and I've heard it's pretty awesome. I'm like, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. And I just decided to leave it kind of to fate. So I'm like, let me hitchhike, because I have to go to that border anyways to get into Paraguay. So I was like, I'm going to just hitchhike there. Let me see what happens. If I get a ride from someone who's going right through the border, let's fucking go. If I get a ride from someone who's going into that town, I'll do that. And that's what happened. I ended up getting a ride from someone going like right into town. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I guess I'm doing this. So yet again, another fucking hostel. That hostel was weird. So the falls weren't going to be opening again until the next day. You kind of got to get there early, and they kick everyone out around like 4 or 5 o'clock, which is like when I got to town. So yet again, went to a brewery, because brewery's where I can get Wi-Fi and figure out what fucking hostel I'm going to goddamn stay at. So decent beer, and then I got a couple beers to go to the hostel. And the hostel was kind of weird. It was super clean hostel. They had a pool in the back. It was kind of nice. They had breakfast in the morning, but they were like, no alcohol, no outside alcohol allowed. So I had to like sneak my beer in like coffee mugs like a fucking teenager and drink my beers. But pretty cool. There was this Belgian girl, French girl, Italian guy, German guy. So it was a good night. It's a fucking hostel night. No matter where you are, you're actually just meeting a bunch of other travelers and not really in the place that you are. It's a weird thing, hostels. Yeah, it's sort of like an international traveler experience, more so than where it is that you are. So yeah, it was a pretty good night. Just a one night in the hostel, and then in the morning, started making my way to the Iguazu Falls. There's a little like 75-cent bus or whatever that takes you there, and bit the bullet, paid the 20 or 30 bucks, whatever it was, to go into the falls, and including the ticket. There's another shuttle that takes you there, and holy fuck, was it worth it. It was cool. I mean, I've been to like Niagara Falls before, and Niagara Falls is just like a little bitch compared to this place. Like, it's just so many waterfalls, just like a whole system of them, just like, and you can go from the Argentinian side as well. I was on the Brazilian side, and just like, you just keep walking down this path, and there's just falls and different kinds of waterfalls, skinny ones, big ones, fat ones, fucking flowing into other ones, like nuts. And then there's like a walkway that goes right out into one of the bigger ones, and little rainbow action, and just, yeah, definitely posted a video of that on Instagram. I don't think I posted it on YouTube yet, but soon. So yeah, check that out, or just Google Iguazu Falls. Like, epic. Absolutely epic. So I was on a high from that. I'm like, all right, I'm fucking glad I did that. I had to do that. But yeah, made my way from the falls and towards Paraguay. And once again, I think I left the country without getting, I know I left the country without getting stamped out, because I was just following the flow. And next thing I know, I was walking over the bridge into Paraguay. So I'm like, man, there probably was somewhere to stamp out. But everyone else, like, once again, they just walk over that border to like shop and do shit, and they don't care. And I could have walked right into Paraguay with everybody else. That's what everybody else was doing. I'm like, all right, I got to get stamped in. So I fucking found the office, found a dude, got my passport stamped in. So once again, yeah, I guess if I come back to Brazil in the next 4 years, it might be an issue if I get the wrong person. But whatever. So I walked through whatever that town was in Paraguay. First town, eventually started hitching some rides. Pretty nice guy. Got me a good ways out of there. Had Coca-Cola with espresso for the first time. It's like an actual Coca-Cola drink. He hadn't seen it either. But we stopped and got us sandwiches, and he's like, you want something to drink? And I'm like, oh, maybe just water. And then I squinted. I was like, what the fuck? Coca-Cola with espresso? And he was like, what the fuck? So we got a couple of those. It was pretty good, actually. Pretty good. So yeah, cruised with him, and yeah, then got a ride from a truck driver who's going to Asuncion, which was the first big city I was aiming for. So I got there pretty late. Once again, fucking brewery, Wi-Fi, hostel, that fucking pattern. Got to the hostel late, but luckily there was this French guy who was still awake. It was like midnight 30 or something when I got there. So he let me in and called the dude and whatever. Gave him some cash. Somebody gave me cash earlier. I forget who. Yeah, somebody gave me a ride earlier. Gave me like a little bit of cash, and it was the perfect amount. It's just enough to pay for the hostel. It's like, fuck yeah, generous people. So yeah, I ended up kicking it with this French guy with a couple of beers that I got from the brewery. Hung out there, and then yeah, the next day I walked around Asuncion, the city. Not a very exciting city, I must say. You know, maybe I'd have a different tune if I stayed with the couchsurfing host or something, but yeah, I was like, all right, not much going on here. It felt okay, the vibe, I guess, but I was like, all right, time to keep moving. And yeah, I was gonna start making my way towards Bolivia, cut across Paraguay to see if there's anything else I could see. No one really has told me anything before or since about Paraguay. And sure enough, it was just like cows. It was like the same scenery for like a day or two, hitchhiking across, just like cows on the side of the road, green, pretty straight roads, fairly flat, a little bit of forest like before the farmland and the cows. That was it. But yeah, good experience, more or less, though, hitchhiking across. Once I started moving, and this one guy picked me up. I think he works with a cell company or something, but he put me up in a place. That was cool. We stopped at like a little motel, and he went in the office, came back with 2 keys. He's like, this is your room. You're number 7 or siete, whatever. Stopped and got some like barbecue, and then yeah, had my own little room for the night, and then kept moving the next day. Ripped my shorts first thing that day, hopping into a pickup truck. Just big rip from like dick down, just wide open. Still rock those shorts for like, I don't know, several more days. I was like, all right, I'll just stand at an angle and no one will notice. Because I only have 1 pair of shorts, 1 pair of pants. So like I gotta just wear these as long as I can. So yeah, stretched them out, and yeah, got some more rides, some more truck rides, and my phone, I think if you listen to the last episode, you know that my phone got stolen in Chile. Luckily, I have this older Android phone I've been traveling with because I've been using it when I'm working on the trip hopping app. So I'm like, fuck, at least I have that old phone. The problem with this old phone is that like the GPS doesn't always work sometimes. Service doesn't always work. I got that Firsty app which is free internet. If you watch a 30-second ad, you get 30 minutes of data, but that doesn't always work on this phone. It's kind of a turd. So anyways, I say that to say that when I crossed the border into Bolivia, it was like kind of a dead border, and somebody dropped me off like right at it. They weren't going across. And again, I was probably like the only person on foot. Otherwise it looked like just trucks. I didn't see any cars crossing. They're all the big like flammable material trucks, like oil kind of trucks, propane trucks, whatever, gas trucks. Getting trapped under one of those, that's the worst. But yet another border I could have just crossed and no one would have said shit. So it's like, fuck. Could have done that. But yeah, one of those flammable trucks picked me up, got a ride from them, and instantly that dude had a huge bag of coca leaves. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, Bolivia, Peru, that's kind of the thing. He had a big fat cheek that looked like he had like a tennis ball in his fucking mouth. So I'm like chewing on these coca leaves too and just fucking cruising down the road. And then yeah, finally, it was just a long, straight road for a long time, so no landmarks or anything, and didn't recognize the city he said he was going to. When I finally saw some kind of landmark, I was like, oh shit, I crossed an entirely different border crossing than I was like trying to. It wasn't that big a deal, but I was like, I mean, I'm hundreds of kilometers off from where I was aiming for, where I thought I was going to be. Like, well, whatever. So he dropped me off in the city, and at that point my goal, someone who picked me up earlier told me about Sucre, Bolivia. So that was my goal. Looked like it was 10 or 12 hours away driving. I had offline maps, like I said, GPS wasn't working so well, but I'm like, I'm going to aim for there. So he dropped me off in the city. I walked a little bit. Some couple with a bird fucking gave me a ride in the backseat. Parrot. It was like, hola. Hola. I was like, that's pretty fucking hilarious. They dropped me off right at like a peage toll booth kind of area, getting towards sunset. So I was just standing on the other side of that trying to get a ride. Some vendor dude gave me a big ass 3-liter bottle of water for free. That was cool. And yeah, an 18-wheeler stopped, so I hopped in, and the dude was just kind of weird. Turns out I think he was kind of drunk, and told him I was going to Sucre, and he was like trying to tell me it was the wrong direction, I think. But I'm like, I don't know if that's what he was saying. He was going to Santa Cruz, which was another city people told me about maybe going to. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll ride all the way with him. But then he was just like shouting at me and getting weird. And then like we stopped, and he's like, in Spanish, just like telling me to buy a beer. And trying to explain to him, like, I don't have any fucking money. Like, I don't have any local currency, you know? Not all these places in South America, especially like in random rural Bolivia, take a card, which is what I've been working on here and there. So I'm trying to explain to him I don't have cash. I'm like, I don't mind buying a beer. I don't mind buying like 6. Let's fucking go. But so yeah, he was basically like, this is the end. I forget how he said it in Spanish. So he got out and started taking a leak. I'm like, oh damn, this dude's kind of fucking derunked. So at that point it was dark, and I was just in the middle of fuck all. And somehow, amazingly, before I could find a place to camp, I got one more ride pretty far to another city. So had to walk through there and camp. And then the next day, and I posted a video of this on Instagram too, which will be on YouTube as well, but kept following the road, and it was pretty slow going. Finally got to this one city, like 3 or 4 rides, had to walk through this city. And then on the other end of the city, just following what I thought was the main road, and I guess it was the main way to go. All of a sudden it was just super dirt road, and then like big old puddles that you kind of got to drive through, and you would not want to drive through with most vehicles, and not much traffic. And I'm just walking along this river, like, ah, fuck. And it looked like, and maybe like after an hour or two of walking, another road I was going to link up with. I'm like, hopefully that one's good. Luckily, this truck picked me up, and I hopped on the back, and that's what you can see in the video. They scooped me up, and I rode with them for like 5 or 6 hours, and we did not get far. I mean, we were cruising, but it was just mountain roads, all dirt, no other traffic, but just like a lot of twists and turns. Every once in a while, you'd have to like ford a river, pretty much. Like, so yeah, just going real slow. But beautiful. Absolutely. That's when Bolivia really hit. Like, just being up in the mountains, switchbacks, going up and down, back and forth. At one point we stopped at some kind of like plant. I don't know what it was, like, but they had some kind of business there, and they're like, if you wait 30 minutes, we'll give you a ride a little further. Yeah, that whole 30 minutes, I just stood by the truck and not a single other car passed. So they came back. We went further. We actually picked up some other guy hitchhiking, going to this next little town. They dropped me off there. I walked through the town, and then they picked me up again. I think they thought I was like trying to get to somewhere with a bus station. I'm like, no, I'm fucking hitching all the way through. So they gave me a ride a little bit further. At that point, it was totally dark. Camped again. And the next day, finally got to Sucre. Yeah, it took some more doing, getting some more rides, several rides, and the road got slightly better. Finally, another 18-wheeler dropped me off in Sucre. And yeah, as I got out, he asked for like 20 whatevers, fucking boppity dupes, Bolivian whatevers. And I'm like, fuck that, I got no cash. Sorry, dude. But I don't know, he was just shooting a shot. It's not like he needed the money. So yeah, I hopped out there, and once again, fucking hostel. Ended up staying in a hostel there for a few days. Pretty nice one, pretty cool people. Sucre is pretty chill. I've talked to a lot of people, and it's like their favorite city in Bolivia. It's not the biggest one, but it's like just a little bit more mellow than La Paz, which is where I went to next. So yeah, I kind of hung out there. I was there for St. Patrick's Day. Found a big liter of a local stout, which was nice. And I kind of hung out. And then, yeah, there's a cheapish bus to La Paz, and I'm like, after that, fucking hitchhiking to there. I was like, let me just, yeah, make this simple. Get the bus. Took that. That was like a all-day kind of bus to La Paz. La Paz is, yeah, the big city there. Real up and down, kind of like an Istanbul, San Francisco kind of vibe, where you're always going uphill or downhill walking through the city. But which is kind of nice because, you know, sometimes you turn around and you're like, oh shit, look at that view. Like just rolling steep hills of city and cable car going through the whole thing. And yeah, pretty decent little spot. Super hectic everywhere. So yeah, that was La Paz. And yeah, I was like, all right, let me make my way to Peru. And yeah, kind of get into the outro here. Already got a plane ticket leaving Lima. So that was kind of where I was ultimately going. So, but I'm like, I want to go to Cusco on the way. It's kind of on the way. So another long bus to Cusco. Stopped at the border, had to get out. But yeah, basically the flight out of Lima was going to be like 10 days later. So it's going to either be Cusco or Lima where I was going to spend my time. And Cusco's a decent amount cheaper than Lima. And I've already been to Lima. And Lima's okay, I guess. I don't know. But I'm like, let me spend my time in Cusco. There's a $4 a night hostel, which is where I'm sitting right now. So that brings us almost to a real time. So yeah, I've been in Cusco for about a week. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, I'm probably the only traveler here not going to Machu Picchu, it seems like. Everyone I've met has either been there already or talking about how they're about to go. But yeah, my money is just bit evaporated, you know? So yeah, I mean, I was so lucky. If you've been following me, you know that I hit the casino a little bit when I was still in the States, and fucking thank God for that, because I, you know, banked a bunch of money before I came here, and I was about to show up with like absolutely nothing, but it's a good thing I made what I did, because fuck, that shit went quick. And yeah, I mean, I've got a little bit left, but I got some moves I'm about to make. I'll get into the outro. So anyways, yeah, $4 a night hostel. Been chilling here. In Cusco itself, there's some stuff to do, some walking around, some hikes nearby, some free junk to do. Machu Picchu's not going anywhere. It's kind of famous because it's fucking been around forever. It's immune to earthquakes, etc. So there's 80 and 90-year-olds that are going there. So life is long. I'll make it there eventually. Not too worried about it. The second night I was at the hostel, I came down. There's like a cool little rooftop spot. They claim to have breakfast, but it's just a little bit of bread and coffee, but whatever. But it's a good spot to hang out. So anyways, I was coming down the stairs from there, and this dude looked at me. He's like, hobo? And I'm like, fuck, this guy looks familiar. I'm like, who the fuck is this? And I'm like, oh, fucking Santiago. It's just this dude I met in Santiago at a hostel, and like was drinking a bunch of beers with him and a couple girls and some other people. And he's been traveling. He's from Germany, but he's kind of got a British accent. He's been traveling. I think for like a year, something like that. And he's got much more time to go. He's got, decent amount of cash. I think he still gets paid by the army in Germany or something like that. But interesting dude. And yeah, he'd been following me a little bit on Instagram since I saw him, and he's like, "Yo, fuck yeah!" So yeah, I've been hanging out with him for a few days, and that's funny. This other girl from Vienna, I was hanging out with her for a bit, and then she's staying at the hostel, and then we were having coffee, and then Steven, that's the dude's name, he popped up, and then they looked at each other like, "What the fuck?" And then they got up and hugged. So I guess they had met somewhere in fucking wherever, Argentina or something. I don't, Peru. Weeks earlier they had met, so they just bumped into each other too. So anyway, it's been pretty fun between them, and he knew some other girls staying at some other hostels working there, so kind of just hanging out. Yeah, good old times. So yeah, that's what's been up. Been chilling, and already got a cheap bus booked, 24-hour bus to Lima, Peru, that I'll be catching the day after tomorrow. Yeah, been hiking around here, going to brewery. Oh, I had one good night where I went to one of the breweries, and fucking expensive, like $7 beers. So I was just gonna get one, but ended up talking to this guy from Brooklyn who like went to Antarctica, and he's worked at some architecture firm, so he's got plenty of fucking money on a good trip. And anyways, one beer turned into two, and then fucking three, and then four, but I was having such a good conversation and just kicking it. I was like, fuck, this is really gonna sting, because I'm like down to less than $100 that I can really be fucking with right now. So taking a $7, $14, $21, $28 fucking hit, it's gonna be something. But anyways, finally we were just like, both of us were like, we should probably get going and shit. So I went to the bathroom, and then fucking came back and said goodbye to him, and then he left, and I went to go pay my bill, and they're like, Graham paid for your bill. I'm like, what the fuck? That dude paid for my shit? I'm like, all right. I guess to him it was nothing. This dude's going on sailboat trips to Antarctica for fucking 40 grand or whatever. So I'm like, all right. Anyways, that was one good thing that happened in Cusco, and yeah, I've been hanging out with other people. So that's Cusco. That's where I'm at right now. So let me jump into the outro and tell you what's coming up next, because I got several different ideas. So yeah, that's what's up. Got my last little hurrah here in Cusco, and yeah, so what's next? Last day of the month, a couple days here, I'll be flying from Lima to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yeah, just try to make some moves. Got a little bit of cash designated for blackjack. I know that sounds crazy, but gonna try to make some moves. I guess there's a casino right there in Florida. I'm gonna try to hit that and just see if I can get to a comfortable spot. Gonna roll the dice a little bit, so to speak. And yeah, just kind of hang out in Florida. I got a friend in St. Petersburg near Tampa I haven't seen in a long time, so I want to hang out with her, see what she's been up to. Been a couple years or something, so catch up with her. I got ideas for a new backpack that's going to be pretty small. Little stealth bivy pack kind of action. I think I'll just be making the one for myself, because I thought about putting it out there, because people are always asking when I'm going to make a new batch of bivy packs, but this one's gonna be pretty niche. I don't think there's gonna be many other people that really want it, because it's gonna be real small. I basically looked up all the airlines in the world and just found out what the maximum dimension I can make and still travel for free, which is around 16 inches by 10 inches by well, mine's gonna be about like 5.5 inches. So yeah, I got it pretty dialed in. Actually a hair smaller than that. But yeah, not too many people can travel like that, so I don't know. Maybe I'll post pictures and people think they can, but we'll see. I'm excited to make that, probably do that in Mississippi. And yeah, I got ideas about going to Japan and the Philippines and South Korea this summer, and Europe. It's almost a sure thing. I want to make that happen one way or another, I got a bunch of friends meeting up, old like couch surfing people who work for couch surfing, kind of having a reunion in August maybe, so that might be happening. So yeah, depending on how blackjack and other money making schemes go, might be in the States for a month. I might be there till July or something. So yeah, we'll kind of see how it goes. But yeah, South America has been good. You know, a little bit more time left. And on to the next thing. So hope you guys are doing awesome. And I will keep on posting some stuff. Post some pictures of that backpack when I make it. If you're in Florida, the south of the U.S., or anywhere in the U.S. really, hit me up. Like I said, could be a month or two that I'm there, so might do a big zigzaggy loop. Yeah, hit me up. Maybe we'll meet up, link up. Fucking A. Alright, hope you guys are doing awesome. I will see you down the road.
To hell with plans I made, I need a new escape. With all my shit straight, I'll get my big red